Somehow, we experience that there is something happening to me. Thoughts arise, and they express that there is something at stake, that there is a danger of sort, that there is something really pressing. We experience such thoughts in many different contexts. We may experience such thoughts in relationships at work or in intimate relationships, or relationships with family. And these thoughts we believe them without noticing. We believe the thought that may say, you got to hold on to that. you have to protect yourself against this or that. And in a way, it makes sense to protect yourself against a possible danger. And if you look at situations where there was actual danger to the body, you may notice, if you had such experiences, that in such moments there is no thought. There is an immediate response that takes no time, that has no thought in it. And that is appropriate to the specific situation. So in fact, the necessary action in times of danger do not require thought. The body is wired in such a way to respond to situations that maximize its chance of survival. But if you notice in your daily life the sense of danger or the sense of that there is something at stake, does not arise out of an actual situation of danger to the body, to the survival of the organism. Rather, these thoughts paint a picture that expresses a certain sense of danger or something is at risk. for you as an image, for you as a concept, for you as a bundle of thoughts and feelings. And somehow we have identified with that image, that bundle of thoughts and feelings that appear as thought. Because in the absence of thought, there are no images of myself. Somehow we've accepted the notion that I am this bundle of thoughts and feelings. That I, as consciousness, am somebody that has a history, which is a bunch of images and thoughts that is somehow moving in time hopefully the image is improving. And as the image improves, we feel good. And whenever the image somehow deteriorates, we are deteriorating with the image. Thoughts appear to you. You are the knowingness of the thought. You are the knowingness of the image. The image does not know you. Thought is not knowing. It is known. You are this knowingness. So when thought arises and says something about you, Why would you believe that the thought that you are perceiving, why would you believe that the thought that you are knowing knows you, knows anything about you? Whenever you believe that thoughts and feelings express some truth about you, you are subject to the thought and its content. You are subject to the feelings. And you find yourself on the roller coaster ride. You find yourself victim, in a way, to the thoughts and feelings that, upon close scrutiny, you will find that they are completely empty. What you truly are, the reality of being, is undefinable by the mind. It defines the mind, creates it and perceives it, conceptualizes forms out of its creativity and infinite potential, but is not knowable or known via thought or via perception or conception. You are, before the name and the form, before birth and death, before gender, the unmanifest, formless reality that in this very moment hears and perceives. It hears and perceives within itself. It hears and perceives itself. It never leaves itself. Because the reality of being is this wholeness, is the wholeness of being that has no parts, it's not divided. The impression of division, the impression of separation, the impression of multiplicity is a thought impression. The word, the mentation, the word, the form arises out of the wordless, out of the formless. And the substance of the arising, the substance of the word and the form, is its source. The substance of the thought, the perception, the sensation, is its source, which is the formless self, the silent presence, the borderless aware presence that is non-conceptual, non-phenomenal. As that, as the reality of being, as what you truly are, you are not subject to events. You are not subject to the world, body, mind, except if you choose to perceive yourself as being subject to your dreams. And when you choose to be the subject of your dreams, of your creation, then you identify yourself as a character in the dream. And upon this identification, which is the I thought and the me feeling, you will experience yourself as being a vulnerable, mortal, character. And you will experience that identification and that perception as your reality. And you will experience the emotions, the negative emotions, the worries, the concerns. That will be your realm. That will be your that would be your dream. Your perception will no longer be from and as the openness of being, but will be through the human eyes, through the character that you have identified with. And you will experience yourself as a body, as a man or as a woman, as a form that is navigating their way the best they can, as a personal entity in a vast external world. And it's via this identification, which is your choice and your freedom, that the infinite realities arise. The realities of external objects and external worlds, the reality of matter and the physical realm will arise out of that freedom to identify. I have a couple of questions that were sent to me, but for now, if you have any questions, we can address your questions first. So there's a question, Barbara Smith, you're right. Why does awareness come to believe it is other or less than awareness? You know, the why question has infinite possible answers. For example, why not? Is a possible answer to that question. We could also say that consciousness is complete freedom. It can dream the dream of identification, but in fact, it does not separate itself. It cannot separate itself, as the ocean cannot separate itself into the right ocean and the left ocean. That's just a conceptual separation, but not a real separation. So you could divide the ocean into the right ocean and the left ocean, the west ocean, the east ocean, but it remains one ocean. So although consciousness separates itself, it's only an impression, it's a mind impression. In fact, it doesn't separate itself. Now, this waking dream here, this human experience, arises to us, and its arising invites us to the contemplation. What's going on? What is this about? What are these forms? What is the reality? So the human experience is a realm for contemplation. That's the highest usage of the human experience. This is when we really have understood what it is about. And one may ask, why? There is a certain celebration in meeting oneself. You could see that, for example, at the airport, when you're waiting for family members or some loved ones. You're so excited and so happy that they are coming and arriving. And when you see them, you are so happy. You also enjoy seeing people that you don't even know, that you never met and that you will never meet, greeting their family members, and you feel that happiness, that joy, the love. So through this forgetting oneself via identification and returning to oneself, which is this contemplation of what am I truly, there is a celebration of the love and the joy. That your question, Barbara, is sort of a little bit academic. What really matters is to really understand what this waking dream is about, and to really take it at heart, not to brush your understanding aside, and to dive deeply into awakening to your true nature. You may find in your life lots of difficulties, family and friends, and at work. And these difficulties are your portal to your true nature. Because when you identify as a body-mind, you are resisting and you are seeking. Because as an entity, you're perceiving an external world that has goodies in it. So you pursue them, or that is coming at you, and so you resist. So the separate self-impression is made out of resistance and seeking. And the way to unwind that mechanism is to be still and die into what is arising, as opposed to avoiding and seeking. What arises for you as difficulties is inviting you to maintain your separate self by resisting and arguing and thinking about it and blaming, or is inviting you to remain still and die into what is happening. Because through the portal of the difficulties that are arising for us, we come out untouched and more established in our freedom. So, awareness, how does awareness come to believe it is other or less than awareness? Yes. It's a make-believe. It's not a true belief. All beliefs are make-believes. A true belief is just truth. So it's a make-believe. Like when you go to the circus and the magician is sewing the lady in two, it's a make-believe. If you don't know it's make-believe, you're terrified. Look what he's doing, how cruel. But when you know what's going on, you're giggling. What matters is that you recognize your invitation. The invitation that's sent to you via universal consciousness to awaken to your true nature and to take it at heart and to give it all you can. Okay, you're welcome. Any other question? Okay, if there's not a question, I will answer this question from Sally. Could you speak about gratitude? Is there a difference between spiritual gratitude versus worldly gratitude? Could you say that progress along the path, that there is an increase in gratitude? How do we live and express gratitude? I do not differentiate between spiritual gratitude and worldly gratitude. When we are grateful, for example, somebody helps us when we are experiencing a certain difficult situation, we are not grateful for what they are doing, for the specific actions that they're doing. We're grateful that they are doing it. We're grateful for their love, for their generosity, for their kindness. So what we are grateful for is the qualities that are behind the action, not the action itself. Because sometimes somebody can do something trying to help us, and he or she can do the wrong thing, and it might not end up being helpful. But yet we are grateful, even though what they have done, the action that they have done, has not resulted in anything. we still are grateful for the love and their intention. So what we are grateful for is what is not perceived, what is not seen, which are the qualities of God, the qualities of wholeness, the qualities that are expressed when we recognize the other as myself. Whenever we are grateful, we are recognizing our wholeness, we're recognizing God's grace, and so we are very grateful. Within our heart, there is a deep gratitude. It's a silent expression. Now, so our gratitude is in a way our gratitude to God, God's qualities, the expressions of love, of compassion, of wisdom. We are grateful to whoever in our life, our parents, friends, have at moments gone beyond their personal self and have expressed in one way or the other something bigger than themselves. But we are also grateful for whatever is happening, including what seems to be not so helpful in our life. This sort of gratitude that recognizes everything that is unfolding has a touch of God, has God's hand in it. This sort of resting in the midst of all what is arising, of all what is happening. Comes to you, blossoms within you via your contemplation of truth. It takes quite a journey to arrive to this complete surrender, at the heart of which is a gratitude. Grateful for all what is unfolding. Because within this gratitude, there is a recognition of what I am truly. There is a recognition that it's all consciousness. And you do not arrive to this blooming in your journey without the help of your teachers and without the help of your ultimate teacher, Sadguru, who is the self appearing to you and speaking to you, shining the light within you, bringing clarity, and peace and tranquility to you, bringing you home, showing you the path and the way, shining the light. In our human experience, due to our identification as a body-mind, there is a contraction, a vasana that arises for most of us, if not all of us. Which takes various forms, but around the core of it is me and holding on. We hold on to possessions that we identify with. We hold on to our bank account, we hold on to our wallet, we hold on to our things, our land, our property. And we get a false sense of safety and security. At the core of this sense is the me that is holding on. There's a very powerful vasana, which is the vasana of giving and holding. As you become more and more mature in your contemplation, you realize that you are no longer a recipient. Rather, you are the channel. Your previous sense of limited personhood widens, opens, and God's light starts to shine through you. While previously you had a begging bowl in one hand and holding your purse in the other hand, you let go of the begging bowl and you let go of the purse. You become a conduit of God's grace. And the expression of gratitude at its core is a silent expression. But in the waking dream, the vasana that remains in our body-mind, that has a holding on, also needs to open. So the inner gratitude, the silent gratitude, and the being in the waking dream, a recipient, a flow, a channel, go hand in hand. So expressing your gratitude in the waking dream is part of your contemplation. And at some point in your contemplation, you will meet that vasana that is holding on. And it will be up to you to release it with your generosity. Generosity is divine. Whichever way it expresses itself through you. It will be your contemplation. Not just to think about it and theorize about it, but to live it and act it. Did you say that progress along the path there is an increase in gratitude? Progress along the path there is an increase in gratitude and also openness. There is less and less holding. You're more and more transparent. Everything is you and you are everything. And the old pattern of holding on and resisting become less and less. And of course, you have to also experiment with that and challenge some of the old tendencies. Otherwise, it will take much longer for them to dissolve. How do you express and live gratitude? Yeah. Moment by moment, day by day, notice when you are when those thoughts about me and myself and my world, my things, when these thoughts are arising for you and you're not stepping up to the plate, you have to notice that moment by moment. Okay, Sally, if this answers your question, otherwise, please let me know. You know, we believe that things are provided to us via our effort, via human endeavors. That is not true. That's just a thought. Everything that is provided to us is provided via us, via others, it's via this realm, via us, via the others. The more you understand that, the more you will notice that this is true. And so much can then flow through you. You become an ocean of bliss for others. And so the bliss flows through you. It's not diminished, it's not reducing you, it's just flowing through you. When God sees that you are a channel, an open channel, then God flows through you. Everything. And when you perceive yourself as somebody that's holding on to stuff, then God will take away from you, will keep reducing you, reducing you, reducing you, reducing you. Reduces you to make you realize how unhappy it is for you to be holding on. If you are holding on, you're unhappy. Guaranteed. Because if you're holding on, you're going against God's grace, and so God is going to speak to you. And the unhappiness that you experience is one of the ways in which God is whispering in your ear, telling you, hey, you're going in the wrong direction. Any questions?
Maggie?
Hello, Zoe.
Hi.
I've got an echo. I've got earphones on. Let me see if I can do this.
Okay.
I think I just heard you say something about you have to challenge what arises or it will take a much longer time. Is that what you said? And could you go into that a little bit more?
Yes. So in your life, you may have some situations, some experiences where you have a choice between trusting, giving, compromising, opening yourself. And maybe a tendency to hold on, to count, to measure, to push back. If you're fortunate, you will notice these tendencies. And at that moment, you will have an opportunity to make a choice in a new direction, the direction of giving, of trusting, of allowing, of opening up, of challenging your old pattern, to actually live it, so that you can experience the unfolding of living in the generosity, in the openness, in the fairness, in the you have to sort of notice how this arises for you whenever it arises, and what sort of mind arises for you in those situations. The old mind that is still believing that I have to protect myself. Of course, there are very clear situations where it is a no-brainer. You need to say no, where it's really clear for you that it's no, that's there is clarity that I'm not opening myself in that direction.
Mm.
But there are patterns within us of worry and concern about myself, about my money, my home, my health, my bank account. These are vasanas. And we believe that it is the human mind that is operating, that is managing this realm. We don't realize that the human mind either it is open to God, meaning it is transparent to God's grace, meaning it's transparent to love, beauty, freedom, generosity, kindness, gratitude. Either it is that, or it is standing in the way, challenging God's grace, arguing my agenda, defending my positions, justifying my thoughts, justifying my feelings. And the more we are justifying our thoughts and justifying our feelings and arguing our position, the deeper we are in the quicksand, the deeper we are in the thicker and the more stuck we are in those mind states. The waking dream, its reality is God, is the self, is consciousness. There isn't a physical reality. There isn't a physical reality in God's reality. And there are times in our life where we are challenged, where the material realm, what we perceive to be our physical situation, is challenged. And there is a tendency to contract around the thoughts that appear to us. And the contraction is basically putting our trust in the thought, putting our trust in the thought that's basically says you are this person, and you got the personal power to solve these problems. But in fact, there is no personal power. Everything that we perceive, every action that we do, is a result of a thought that arises to us. And we don't think our thoughts, they arise to us from beyond. And then there is the divine thought that rises to us that says, what am I? As opposed to the conventional thought that says, oh, you are this person, and this is what's happening to you. So in our life, we will have opportunities where we may experience what seems to be difficult times, challenging times. And these are times where we have an option of approaching the entire situation as consciousness, which is a complete freedom of being, which is completely at rest, completely at ease. It always remains as itself. It knows it is the freedom of being. When it moves through the dream, whichever way the dream appears, it recognizes itself. It doesn't forget itself. There is the option of recognizing yourself and remaining with that recognition. And that's maybe challenging as opposed to the thoughts that arise and says, oh my goodness, look what's happening to you. You have to challenge these thoughts that there is really nothing happening to me. There's nothing ever happening to you. What happens arises as dream impressions that arise to you. But when you believe it to be otherwise, you will experience it to be otherwise. When you will believe that what is arising to you is something real happening to somebody who is real, a real person, you will experience that, and you will experience the turbulence of that. And you will be proven to be right when you adopt the belief that you are a mortal body mind. You will experience that. You will have the proof that yes, you are a mortal body mind. You will experience that. Because when you close your door to God's castle and you remain in the gutter, you are going to experience the gutter. That will be your experience. So you have to challenge yourself from closing the door. Even though there is a strong voice in your head that's saying, oh, something really bad is happening to you, you need to figure it out. If you need to figure it out, God's light will come to you. It will shine through you and you will see the way. Anyway, Zoe, I may have drifted away off your question, but so, okay, well, maybe we lost you, Zoe. Anyways, any questions?
Magdi?
Yes, hello, Esther.
Hi. One thing I noticed lately that for me is kind of like challenging the truth or challenging the vasanas is when a vasana arises, I challenge it by asking, on whose behalf do you come? And as soon as I ask that question, it's like, if it's a feeling of, if it's any kind of a disturbing feeling, I know it's on behalf of the separate self. And then I proceed to inquire to the truth. And it's amazing how simply by confronting that vasana and asking, you know, who are you and on whose behalf do you come,
Mm-hmm.
that it seems to break through something.
Yes. Yes.
It seems to work.
Yes, Esther, I understand. Sort of that question will reveal to you if in whatever is arising for you, there is the assumption, I am a person, I am a separate self. That belief. To see that, yeah, so that it's a good discrimination. Another pointer is whenever something arises that you feel is unhappy, you feel an unhappiness, you experience not a happy feeling, you can rest assured that behind the scene there is a separate self, the thought, the I thought. This is why it's said that the path is a path of bliss and happiness. Following your bliss is the path of happiness and not the path of solving problems and trying to find your way through the emotions. And whenever a negative sensation arises, you can sense that there is the I thought. Then you have an opportunity to be still in the midst of this thing, unknowing, without thinking about it. Just willingness to be completely still no matter what. And resting is not, I am going to be still no matter what and I will vanquish it. It's a sort of being still and resting as that and allowing that to be whatever it wants to be or how long it wants to do whatever it wants to do. Just to experiment with that and see how it unfolds.
Magdi, along that line, I've been noticing how the spiritual, the spiritual quote path can have the subtle judgments that just is more bullshit. It's just continuing, and there's a tendency to label, or to kind of excuse because it's a spiritual endeavor or something. Like you said, the only the only thing that really works is to relax and to be still and at rest. I mean, everything else seems to be vegetable soup. It's just continuing the process, the same confusion. So even in so-called spiritual things.
Yes. Thought, spiritual or non-spiritual, whatever thought, is just a conceptualization. It's dream. When you're thinking about something, it's different thing from contemplating. Contemplation is stillness. It's a poise. It's a resting and turning one's attention, meaning turning the light, the love, welcoming God's grace, turning one's attention towards that does not come and go. To call it spiritual, non-spiritual, this or that, it's So the journey is a journey upstream, not via any concepts, via any labels, via any. It's thinning out. It's going from the many to the fewer to the one, and then the one dissolves in the whole. So the not knowing mind, a big expression of a mind of luminosity. It's a mind that has no object, no, it's completely open. It's not moving in any direction. It's just the open space. So it's a journey from the knowing to the not knowing, in a way, from the mind to the space that is, in which mind impressions arise and out of which mind impressions are made. God's light shines through you, not by you. So I am the shining light, but it's not a point. It's no center. So it's a process of relaxation and releasing and resting into God's arms, and ongoing resting, a deepening, ever deepening of our restfulness, ever widening of our not knowing. What needs to unfold will unfold through, as needed, into the space, while nothing ever happening. So you could say, well, there is something happening now, but that conceptualization is not necessary, as we can remain as the non-happening. So it's sort of a journey from the happening to the non-happening, rather from the non-happening to the happening. And also this ability, this consciousness transparency, which never holds on. So there is no past in it, because holding on is what creates time. While when thoughts are flowing, like clouds are flowing in the sky, there is no story. There is no previous and no after. So this capacity, this ability to remain empty-handed, to allow whatever arises to arise, and it dissolves as it arises in this very moment, so that you are at the point of no arising and no dissolving, where you don't know what's arising, what's dissolving, and you don't need to know. and that this knowingness is just an imaginary knowingness. It's a story, it's a mentation. So you are at the wholeness, nothingness, emptiness, fullness of being that is really beyond any words, beyond any expression. And you welcome that, you recognize that, and you relax as that. Please stop me if I'm talking, don't know, if I'm talking that's not relevant to what your question was.
Magdi, it's all relevant. Thank you.
So, any questions, anyone? Okay, well, thank you all. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, Magdi.
Okay, Shiva.